In the wild west of reality TV, few characters have ever been as bright or as wonderfully bizarre as Barry Weiss. For 4 seasons, he was the undisputed king of storage wars, the cool silver-haired collector who turned bidding on abandoned lockers into a genuine art form. He was the show's soul, its jolt of chaotic energy. This was a man who'd show up in priceless cars to bid on $1,000 units, not for the money, but for the pure, unadulterated thrill of the hunt. Then, at the absolute height of his fame, with millions of fans loving his every move, Barry Weiss did the unthinkable. He walked away. Just like that, he was gone from our screens, leaving behind a hole the show could never quite fill, and a whole lot of questions. But his vanishing act was just the first chapter. A few years later, news surfaced that would truly shock his fans, a life-threatening accident that would change everything, sparking dark rumors and real fear for the man who brought so much fun into their homes. So, what really happened to Barry Weiss? Why would the fan-favorite star of a hit show just disappear when he was on top of the world? What were the details of the accident that nearly cost him his life? And where is he now? Today, we're digging past the rumors to uncover the full story of Barry Weiss, the real reason he left the show, his incredible fight to recover, and what he's been up to since. To get why Barry's exit was such a big deal, we have to go back to the beginning. It's 2010, and a new show called Storage Wars hits A&E, tapping into that classic American curiosity. What's hiding behind those rusty steel doors? The idea was simple, but the characters were pure gold. You had the loud, brash Dave Hester and his youp, the hustling young couple, Gerard Schultz and Brandy Passante, and the old-school gambler, Daryl Sheets, always hunting for a big score. For them, it was all about the bottom line. And then there was Barry. From the second Barry Weiss appeared on screen, you knew he was playing a totally different game. He wasn't just a bidder, he was the collector. He didn't roll up in a work truck. He arrived in a stunning, custom 1947 cowboy Cadillac, a masterpiece on wheels. He wore custom suits, flashy shirts, and his infamous skeleton glove, perfect symbol of his quirky, cool style. He looked at the auctions with a kind of zen-like amusement, always with a mischievous twinkle in his eye, like he knew a secret no one else did. While the other bidders brought flashlights, Barry brought, well, whatever he wanted. He once brought a little person on stilts to get a better look inside a unit. He used night vision goggles. He even flew a remote-controlled helicopter with a camera to get a bird's-eye view. This wasn't about strategy. This was performance art. Every auction was a stage, and Barry was the headliner. His methods were strange, his bids were impulsive, but his motive was pure. He wasn't there to flip junk for a quick buck. He was a lifelong collector of antiques, and every unopened locker was a mystery box, a chance to find something with a story. That's what made him so magnetic. The others measured success in dollars and cents. Barry measured it in the weird, the wonderful, and the historic. He once uncovered a perfectly preserved 1928 Ford Model A find that would make any collector's jaw drop. He'd bring in all sorts of unique experts to appraise his finds, turning a simple valuation into a memorable TV moment. His dynamic with the rest of the cast was hilarious. He treated Dave Hester's aggressive pay with a kind of playful contempt, often driving up the price on a locker just to make Dave sweat before backing out. He had an almost fatherly relationship with Brandy and Gerard, watching their frantic hustle with the calm of a man who'd already made his fortune. He was the comic relief, the seasoned pro, and the laid-back philosopher all in one. He was, simply put, irreplaceable. Fans didn't just like Barry, they loved him. He was living out a fantasy, the idea of being so successful that your work could be all about passion. He wasn't driven by need, he was driven by curiosity, and that's what made his exit so jarring. For 4 seasons, he was the heart of the Storage Wars universe. Then, in 2013, when the show was more popular than ever, he vanished. The question on every fan's mind was simple: why? To understand how Barry Weiss could just walk away from TV fame, you have to know who he was long before the cameras started, rolling that on-screen persona of the carefree, wealthy collector. That wasn't an act. It was the result of a lifetime of success in a completely different world. Barry didn't need Storage Wars to get rich. He already was. For over 25 years, long before he was a reality star, Barry and his brother, Joey, were titans in the wholesale produce business. They ran Northern Produce, a company that imported and exported fruits and vegetables. It was a tough, high-stakes game that required sharp instincts and a serious work ethic. He built a fortune in produce, enough to let him retire in his mid-50s. A wealthy man free to do whatever he pleased, and what he wanted to do was travel and collect things. Barry started collecting antiques and classic cars when he was just 15. The show was just a new, fun outlet for a passion he'd had his whole life. This is what sets him apart from almost every other reality TV star. The show didn't make him, it was just something he did for a good time. He once cleared up a funny misconception. People heard he was in produce and thought he was a Hollywood producer. The reality was much more down-to-earth. His wealth is what fueled his on-screen charm. That incredible car collection wasn't a show gimmick. He's a legitimate, world-class car guy with a love for wild pre-war customs. His garage is legendary. This passion also connected him to other famous people long before his own fame. He's the godfather of Jesse James, the custom motorcycle builder from Monster Garage. That relationship shows you just how deep his roots are in the custom culture scene. He was the real deal. That authenticity is exactly how he landed on Storage Wars. He was already good friends with Tom Beers, the show's creator. As Barry tells it, Beers was at his house one night, and over a few drinks, mentioned he was creating a new show about storage auctions. He asked Barry if he wanted in. Barry, who had never actually bought a storage unit before, thought it sounded like a new adventure and said yes. He wasn't an aspiring actor or a struggling shop owner. He was a retired, self-made millionaire looking for some fun. This context changes everything. It explains his casual, almost indifferent attitude during the auctions. When other cast members were sweating over a few $100s, Barry was just having a laugh. If he lost a unit, who cared? If he won a unit and it was a bust, it was just a funny story. He even admitted he didn't make as much money as the others on the show. For one simple reason: if it's cool and I enjoy the item, I'm going to keep it. He was a true collector, not a reseller. His personal life, including a divorce decades ago and 2 adult children, remained private, but they reportedly got a kick out of his fame. This man had already built his world. Reality TV wasn't the destination, it was just a fun detour. And that's exactly why he had the power to leave it all behind. And that brings us to the central mystery. In 2013, after 4 seasons and over 100 episodes, Barry Weiss was gone from Storage Wars. His exit wasn't dramatic. There was no on-screen fight or big farewell. He just ... didn't come back for season 5. Fans went wild with speculation. Was he sick? Did he have a falling out with the producers? The internet had 1,000 theories. But the truth was perfectly Barry, simple, honest, and completely on his own terms. In later interviews, Barry set the record straight. There was no bad blood, no secret health issue at the time. The reason was refreshingly simple. It was fun, but I had enough, and I kind of wanted to leave while it was still popular, he explained. I did 104 shows. I had a blast. I'm back to being a world-class slacker. For a man who retired from a stressful business to enjoy his life, the demanding schedule of a hit TV show had become just another job. The early mornings, the long days filming the novelty had just worn off. He decided to protect his legacy and quit while he was ahead. A smart move that reflects how he lived his life. But leaving Storage Wars didn't mean he was done with TV completely. A&E knew they had a star, and in 2014, they gave him his own spin-off, Buried Treasure. The concept sounded perfect. It was just Barry, traveling the country in cool cars, hunting for collectibles, and meeting colorful characters. It was pure, unfiltered Barry. He drove everything from a pie truck to a camel. But for some reason, the show never quite found its footing and was cancelled after just 8 episodes. The next year, he tried again with Storage Wars, Barry Strikes Back. This time, he and his sidekick Kenny Crossley sat down to watch old episodes and share behind-the-scenes commentary. It was fun to get more of his witty one-liners, but it mostly felt like recycling old content. And it too was cancelled after 10 episodes. These spin-offs are a key part of the story. They show he wasn't running from the spotlight entirely. He was willing to stay on TV, but it had to be on his terms. When those projects didn't work out, he just shrugged and went back to his life as a professional slacker, traveling and collecting away from the cameras. For a few years, Barry settled back into a quiet, private life. But in April 2019, his peaceful retirement was about to be interrupted by something far more dramatic than any TV show. Just when fans had gotten used to Barry enjoying a quiet, well-deserved retirement, the news broke. On a spring afternoon in April 2019, Barry's life changed in an instant. He and his friend, Jamie Robinson, were riding their motorcycles in Los Angeles when a car suddenly pulled out of a parking spot right in front of them. They had no time to react. The collision was brutal. Both men were rushed to the hospital, but it was clear Barry's injuries were extremely serious. His friend Jamie later posted online, "I got lucky, only a broken knee, elbow and wrist. My friend is much worse and has serious chest and leg trauma. Please send your praise to Barry." The reports were grim. Barry had suffered multiple broken bones and major trauma to his chest and internal organs. He was taken straight to the ICU, where he would stay for weeks, fighting for his life. While he was in the ICU, the lack of official news led to a storm of online rumors. The most terrifying one started to spread, that Barry Weiss had died. For the fans who had followed him for years, it was a horrifying thought. The man who seemed so full of life was now the subject of grim speculation. Thankfully, those rumors were false, but they highlighted just how serious his condition was. Barry survived, but his fight was just beginning. His recovery was a long, difficult journey. He spent nearly 2 months in the hospital and had to go through multiple major surgeries. The road back was slow, requiring intense physical therapy to learn how to move again. The accident had taken a huge physical toll, forcing him to put his health above everything else. For a man who loved to travel and was always on the go, being sidelined by such severe injuries was a massive challenge, both physically and mentally. This period explains his total absence from public life. He wasn't just off the grid, he was battling to get his life back. Barry's journey of recovery is as remarkable as his rise to fame, and it's a real testament to his spirit. If you're finding this story as fascinating as we do, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss our next deep dive into the real stories of your favorite stars. Coming out of a 2-month hospital stay and multiple surgeries would change anyone, and Barry Weiss was no exception. The accident forced him to refocus everything on his health and family. He stayed completely out of the public eye, dedicating all his energy to the slow process of rehabilitation. But even during his recovery, that classic Barry charm found a way to shine through. He took a gig as a brand ambassador for the Sherwood Valley Casino, which let him engage with the public in a small way while he continued to heal. It was a signal to his fans that the witty, charismatic guy they loved was still in there, fighting his way back. Then, in a move that sent a shockwave of joy through the Storage Wars fanbase, the impossible happened. In late 2021, more than 8 years after he first left, A&E announced that Barry Weiss was making a triumphant return to the show for its 14th season. The King was coming back, and his return was everything fans hoped for. He didn't just show up, he made an entrance. In the season premiere, he rolled up in his jaw-dropping 1939 Lincoln Zephyr, a work of art on wheels. Stepping out with that signature swagger, he looked at the camera and asked what everyone was thinking. "Did you miss me?" The answer was a massive yes. Fans were thrilled to see him back in his element, joking with the cast and proving that, even after everything he'd been through, he hadn't lost his magic. He also appeared in season 15 of the show in 2023, much to the delight of his followers. His return, however, wasn't a full-time gig. He appeared in a handful of episodes, more like a celebrated guest star than a main cast member. As of now, his long-term future with the franchise remains a question mark. Given his age and his incredible health journey, it's completely understandable that he might not want to commit to the grind of a full season. The door seems to be open, but he's doing it on his own terms, which is exactly how the man has always lived his life. Barry Weiss' story is one of a kind. He walked away from fame at its absolute peak because it was the right move for him. He then stared down a life-changing accident and fought his way back with the same resilience and humor that made him a star. And he even came back to our screens, just to remind us all why we loved him in the first place. His impact on Storage Wars is huge. In a show that could have just been about money, Barry brought heart, soul, and a whole lot of fun. He was a true originaler, multi-millionaire businessman who found real joy in the forgotten junk of strangers. He showed us that the true value of something isn't always the price tag. Sometimes, it's the story behind it, or just the fun of the hunt. He is, and always will be, the collector, a reality TV icon who did things his own way. Who else from reality TV has a story that you think needs to be told? Let us know your suggestions in the comments below. And if you enjoyed getting the real story on Barry Weiss, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into what really happened.